G'day, it's Farmer Jay and welcome back to Derriere Farms, where today we're going to be taking a look at the actual pumps and hoses side of the Pumps and Hoses DLC. In yesterday's video, or the other video, we actually looked at building a BGA from scratch. Now that the BGA is up and running and we have enough digestate in storage, we should have enough to fertilize our fields. So let's get to it. If you like, before I go any further though, if you do like how-to videos and learning about DLCs, anything farm related, or especially if you want to learn about the Platinum DLC when it comes out, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Plus, you will have my eternal gratitude, as subscribing really helps the channel out. Okay, now back to pumps and hoses. The first thing you are going to need before we go any further is obviously hoses. Hoses are found in the store under pallets. And you can get anywhere from 100 meters of hose. I wish I'd put these in feet. But up to 500 meters of hose, and you can attach these hoses. So in theory, you could have a hose stretching from one side of the map to the other. Now that's 2 kilometers, so you would need 4 times 500 meters, and you would theoretically go from one side of the map to the other. I've already purchased 2. I'm going to purchase another. This time I'm going to do yellow. I'm going to purchase 300 meters because I think I might need it for something. So, we have our hoses purchased. And I'm using store deliveries, so they appear right here. Just so it's out of the way, sorry, I'm moving that just so I don't get it caught up. Right, the next thing you are going to need is you're going to need a distribution system to be able to lay out your hoses. So let's hop back in the store. Right, so you are going to need one of these 3 devices here. I do have this one. This one's attached to a pump, and it says it should hold 1,000 meters. But I'm not we'll go into that in a minute, and I'll show you. But you're going to need essentially one of these 3 devices. This will hold 1.3 kilometers of hose. This one will hold 1.7. The only difference really between that one and this one is once the bottom part is full, remember to lower the top part using the control and then load the second hose or the next amount of hose to the upper reel. And that gives you the difference between 1.3 and 1.7 kilometers worth of hose. This one here will hold a little bit of slurry or a little bit of digestate. I'm not sure why, because I actually haven't been able to get it to pump. But it will only hold 0.4 kilometers or 400 meters of hose, which for our purposes is going to be fine. So you need to purchase those and attach those to the tractor. So let's hop back to our tractor and we're going to lay out our hose. Okay, now that we have our hoses selected, all you need to do is simply drive up to them and press R to load. You can press L to unload and it will put it back into pallet form. However, once it's rolled up, you might as well leave it rolled up. The front one works exactly the same way. Now notice it tells you how many meters of hose you have. You just need to select the front and press R. we now have 600 meters of hose, which is going to be more than enough for what we're going to do in this video, because we're going to be fertilizing this field. And I've got things a little bit backwards here. I got my equipment set up the wrong way around for what I want to do. And I'm also doing something different in today's video. If you notice, I'm not using John Deere tractors. I thought, since we have these beautiful new Valtras, I would use those. So I'm going to start here. And to unroll our umbilical cord, we need to switch to unwinding. So the Z key, if you're on a computer, I'm not sure what it is if you're on an Xbox, because I don't have an Xbox controller, and then press Y to start unwinding, and it will drop down. Please move for unwinding. So it's dropped down the front part of the hose. Now you don't theoretically need to be quite this detailed. I'm going to go around this light pole. I'm going to put some hose out to the end of the field just so I know how much I have. Now I have put the hose across the field, and it doesn't seem to damage it if you drive over it like it would in real life. The reason I selected 300 meters is this isn't a very big field, so I thought I'd be fine. And I think we are just gonna make it. Oh, so close. Well, we'll stretch it out, because remember I have a little bit of extra hose at the other end of the field, so this is going to work. I'm not going to need to add another 100 meters of hose. Like I didn't know how much to add. It's really going to depend on the size of your field. If you buy too much, then you have to keep unwinding it until it's all unrolled. If you buy too little, then you got to buy another hose and you got to attach them. And well, we'll go into attaching the hoses in a minute, a little bit later in the video. All right, the next thing you need to do once you have your hoses is you need a pump system. And you will also need a compressor. Now, all of these can be found in the store, either using the brand search or by going into slurry tanks. I find it easier to use the brand search. Okay, so we're going to buy a compressor, or I've actually already got one. The compressor is used to blow air through the pipe, and that cleans the pipe out as the pipe accumulates debris as it pumps digestate or slurry. The other thing you are going to need is that's a compressor. You're going to need the pumps. I've gone with this one, and the reason I went with this one is because it should have the ability to attach hose to it. It is also the most powerful. As you can see, it needs 200 horsepower. If you want to be able to pump a kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers worth of digestate or slurry, you're definitely going to need the largest pump available. This one, 160 horsepower is required. and it's quite a bit smaller. And this one, I don't know why it can carry slurry or digestate, as it's not a pump. And I think I tried it and I couldn't figure it out. Now the other pump you can use is this one, the PW121, which will actually work both as a pump, and if you read up here, it will also hold water, and water storage will positively impact the pump condition. Basically, it dilutes the slurry a little bit and allows it to pump better. And you can actually configure this one to have a platform on the back or be standard wheels. You can change the capacity to 3,200 liquid manure or 9,000 water. And that's where it gets both from. You can also put a reel and compressor on the back. So this is kind of an all-in-one unit, and we'll take a look at this one afterwards. But for now, we are going to just look at this model along with the air compressor. So let me get those set up for you. While I do that, this is what I wanted to show you. So I have the correct had to think of the right word there for a second. I have the correct device selected. I'm supposed to be able to press R just like we did with the other equipment, and it's going to give me an error message. Not enough capacity left on the reel, even though it's supposed to have 1,000 meters. So I don't understand. Maybe that's a bug. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Whatever. Hopefully it gets fixed in the next patch. So I'm going to get this set up down at our tank, and we're going to go from there. Here we are at a massive, and I mean it is a massive tank. It will hold a lot of digestate. To attach our hose, it's as simple as Shift Q. You don't need the wrench. I thought you needed the wrench when I looked at the description in the video, but you don't. Shift Q attaches our hose, and we are all set up here and ready to go. Now we just need to get our equipment to actually apply the digestate to the field. Okay, we have a couple of different options in this case. The first thing we're going to need, though, in order to attach to the umbilical or to the hoses, is the tool carrier. So I've got one of those, and then you have a choice between slurry distributors and cultivators. And as you can see, they range in size from 8 meters up to 12 meters. And then the cultivator is only 9 meters, which is actually pretty good. It's bigger than the cultivators we had in the base game. So if you like to cultivate and apply slurry at the same time, this is definitely the one to go. And at the end of the video, I'll show you something kind of neat about this one. Once you've got those, you need to hook this part, the carrier, up to a tractor. Once that's done, you press X to unfold it, and I've already got this set up ready to go, and you just back very carefully, and you have to get it right through the middle, and you just back up till you can attach the distributor. Now, you can fold if you want. You don't have to. The connector, and it kind of tucks it away into transport position. Or you can leave it out. And we're going to go down to the other end of the field, and we're going to attach. Same process as attaching to the compressor. Once we get to the end of our hose, left shift Q. And then we're going to unfold our distributor, just so I can get an idea of how to line up with the field. And once we're ready to go, we'll put this into working position. Again, don't worry if you are running over your hose or not. It doesn't damage it like it would in real life. Okay, once we're all set up and ready to go, we need to go back to our tractor at the tank, and we need to turn on the pump. And as you can see, the vehicle starts working. Don't worry about the compressor yet. Now we should be good to go. And there we are. We're busy spreading digestate on our field. That's all there is to it. Like I said, if you chose to use the cultivator, it would be cultivating the field at the same time. I've already plowed this field as it had corn in it before, so I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to put this on a worker, and we're going to go back and we're going to watch. Well, we'll let it go to the end of the field. The reason I let it go to the end of the field is I just wanted to show you that the hose that we had dragged out all the way to the other end of the field has kind of doubled back and is following us, so we don't need to worry about it. That was why I just wanted to make sure we had enough hose to get to the end of the field. Other end of the field. Alright, let's jump back into our pump. Oh, one thing you can do, and I'm not going to do it while the work is on. Let me just disable the worker for a second. You can activate, as you can see in the top corner of the screen, double application rate. Now this will slow down the speed at which it fertilizes the field. See, you're down to 5 miles an hour. I don't need a double application because I'm going to take care of the rest later on. But away we go. And you can see where it did the double application rate. Now, if we switch to our compressor on the front of the vehicle, it will tell you the umbilical hose is clogged by X amount. Right now it's 0%, mainly because we're running water through it. So it's helping keep it unclogged. But we'll get to the compressor soon. There you go. You can see, well, it's using quite a bit of digestate to fertilize this field. I will cover precision farming at the end of this video and how it works with precision farming. But for now, we're just going to let it do its thing. And I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to drain the water out of the system so that we actually start getting clogged. Wrong one. So that we actually start getting clogs in the manure line. All right, I will see you guys in a minute. Okay, so for some reason, I was driving along, everything was going well, and it stopped working. And I happened to hop back to this vehicle, only to find out that the hose is no longer attached. Don't know why, because it looks like I should have enough. So I'm guessing as a good rule of thumb, if say 300 meters will stretch from one end of the field to the other, go with 500 just to give yourself a little bit of extra room. Anyway, what we need to do now to get our connected again is we need to select the wrench. This is the only way, and the wrench is available in the store under miscellaneous items. But it's the only way. Now the other thing I did find out is if you put this too close, let's say right here, and I'm going to hop back in the tractor, and I'm going to press Shift Q, or left Shift Q, it attaches to the top, so I can start rolling it up. So this roller will roll up a hose that's already deployed, but it won't take one out of the crate. So that was what we were missing at the beginning. To stop it attaching to the roller, what we need to do is make sure we're a little bit further back, and then it should, yep, it reattaches to the pump. And while we're here, because we don't have water going through anymore, you'll see that the umbilical hose is now clogged by 22%. So let's turn on the compressor, and it's going to take a little bit for it to build up enough pressure. And don't try it right away because it's not going to work. It'll rev back down when the compressor's built up enough pressure, and then we press the X key. There we go. And we have our hose cleaned out to 0% again. So you don't always need water. And let's just finish up that field, and then I will show you how things work in terms of attaching more than one hose together. Okay, so the hose came loose again, which I thought was a perfect time to show you how to connect two hoses together. Now that I've figured this part out, it's actually quite simple. You just need the wrench. The wrench is the way you drag the hose around the field. You drop it on the ground next to it, and then you left click, or in my way I'm set up is I left click, and it connects the two together. Click again and they unclick. I guess when I was initially looking at it, the process was far more difficult than I thought it would be. The other thing is I have put the water pump near the back of this pump just to show you, and I turned it on. So we have now water pumping in. It doesn't actually attach. I wish it kind of did. But it's kind of like a conveyor belt. You get in and you turn it on and off. See, activate pump, deactivate pump. Neat, huh? Alright. Let's finish up this field, and then I'm going to switch over to the other farm and show you precision farming. Okay, I keep getting this error when I'm using a helper that says tank is empty, and I don't know why. It's whenever they get to the end of the field and they try turning around. I have the same problem recently with manure spreaders if I'm using a helper. Well, I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know. Maybe there's a mod conflict. I'm not sure. But I will let you guys know if I figure it out. It's odd that it wasn't happening in the other field. It's just happening in this field. The other thing I was hoping to do, the reason I moved to this field because it's so much further away, was to show you what happens if you're using a pump that is not strong enough to pump all the way to where you're going. Essentially, what you'll notice is you start to get patches where there's no slurry or digestate applied because the pump is now becoming intermittent to try and catch up. So, if you start noticing gaps in the consistency, or yeah, that's the way to put it, I guess. If you start noticing gaps, patches in where manure is being applied and not being applied, that's why. Okay, this is a little bit odd. I try and turn my pump on, and it says no pump target found on umbilical hose. So let's go to the tractor in the field that was actually, and you can see when I tested it, it was actually working. And it tells me it should be applying, but again, no pump connected. What? No pump connected on umbilical hose. I'm not sure. Oh, I think I see the problem. Yeah. Give me 1 second to fix this. So somehow, even though it was working perfectly before I hit save to go to Obey Laurent to do the initial setup, when I loaded back in, for some reason, the hoses had reset. Bet you that works now. There we go. Why? And yep, all of a sudden it's detecting my nitrogen levels. Okay, this is because... Alright, well, we'll set this back off, and I'll go back to show you one of the things that kind of, I don't want to say annoys me. I initially set up the pump here the other day when I did my initial video, and it will not take anything out of this. So actually it is no, I know why it's taking it out of that, because I changed, in an effort to see what was going on, I changed the AI refill slurry to the bulk tank. So let me turn that off. And it should now, yep, it's now taking it out of the giant liquid store or manure storage tank. The only difference between this one and the Shuten one is the Shuten one has a side for slurry and a side for water. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was when I was using the pump, to fill up the tank, the water pump, it is not free water. So don't think you are getting a free water supply. It charges you the base game rate for water, which I think is ridiculous. I refuse to pay for water. So it just adds that extra level of complexity to the game, because you can still take a water tanker and fill the shooting tank. For free, assuming you got it out of a lake. But no, the water pump charges you whatever its maintenance cost is, because it does have to be repaired, and it will also charge you for water, which adds up quite quickly. The nice thing about precision farming is you don't go through, because it's only going to put a certain amount of manure, and we'll cover that in a separate video. It's only going to put... Why did you stop? Hasn't given me an error message. Okay, so this is a little bit annoying because, again, somewhere along the lines, I think my hose has become disconnected. Yep, for some reason it got disconnected here. Anyway, I have plenty of hose, as you can see, stretched out across the field. It goes all the way to the other end and it doubles back. And yet, for some reason, it keeps disconnecting. And it literally went 5 feet and did it again. So we've got to drag this all the way back over here with the wrench, reconnect it, and then I'm going to try something different. I'll be right back. Well, I tried a couple more times and I kept running into the same problem where my connector would separate from, not my separating, my pipe would keep separating from the pump. I was going to show you this anyway. The attachments from pumps and hoses, such as the slurry distributors, these three will attach to, I want to say, the existing slurry tankers in the game. So, as they say, there is more than one way to skin a cat, so I'm just going to finish the field this way. On that note, I hope that gives you a better understanding of how pumps and hoses, or the pumps/hoses side of things work. Feel free to leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and let me know if you're having any bugs or problems. Thanks, take care, Jay.